Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. I, 28F, discovered my boyfriend, 29M, impregnated our landlord. I am sick beyond belief. TLDR, my boyfriend of 4 years cheated on me and impregnated our 31-year-old landlord, and I can't leave. I don't think I've ever felt this much pain in my life, and isolated to the point where I've had to seek advice on here. I truly never thought this would happen to me. My boyfriend, let's call him Kyle for simplicity, and I have had a really stable and loving relationship, and for context I've lived most of my life in London and I met him in London as well. He is American. He works in asset management and we're both fairly traditional, so I work mostly freelance, but I don't really make even a 1/3 of what he makes, which was fine as I plan on becoming a housewife and the primary caretaker. But, this year he was offered a job in New York City where the pay is astronomically higher than he was making in London, and my whole life is in London, all of my family and friends, but I knew that this was going to open up doors for him and that we'd be able to buy a home in the future and etc. So, we moved right after Christmas to a really nice flat, did not realize how expensive rent was here BTW, and because of COVID he works mostly remote but sometimes he goes in and out of the office. He had his friends, so I realized that I also needed to at least try to befriend someone, but it was incredibly difficult because when we moved there were still restrictions and I wasn't actively working, but when we met our landlord I thought she was great, Quinn for simplicity. We were almost the same age, and even though we didn't have too much in common she was incredibly welcoming that we even went to breakfast and lunch sometimes. Kyle was happy that I had befriended her. As the months went by, Quinn and I would have some drinks at my place or I'd go to hers, and one time I went with Kyle and we got to know each other on a more personal level. She told me how dating felt so much harder at her age and that she'd always had fertility issues in her family and was afraid that she was running out of time, and I sympathized with her because I had endometriosis and I also had a similar fear. But in the last 2 months, I would only see her maybe once a week as she claimed she was spending a lot of time with her aunt and so she was more busy than usual. I understood. 2 days ago, while Kyle was at work, I went to check the concierge for a package and I saw Quinn's aunt. I said hi and was polite and we spoke, because I had briefly met her before. I asked her how Quinn was doing since I hadn't seen her last weekend, and her aunt said that she was feeling a bit sick, but it was just morning sickness. I was confused, but I guess my face made her think that I was deeply concerned, and her aunt said that morning sickness is just expected in the first trimester. I was floored, not in an angry way, I was just caught off guard because I had no idea how or when she had become pregnant. In a way, I was kind of happy for her, but I also was slightly sad that she didn't tell me as I thought I was her friend. But I was excited for her, and I sent her a message congratulating her. When my BF came home that night, I revealed to him that she was pregnant and how happy I was for her, and the look on his face. I have never seen anything like that in my life. The color literally drained from his face the way you would picture it happening in a cartoon, and he was almost gaping. I was extremely confused, but he gained his composure and went to shower. I was making dinner, and my mind was racing. I couldn't really focus, but I couldn't pinpoint why. After he showered and I finished cooking, I decided to lay on the bed for a while, because I was feeling horrible. My BF then said he needed to get some really important bills from our mail and he left quickly. At this point, I felt so horrible, so sick, because something felt ridiculously wrong. The entire atmosphere had shifted and I was completely unsettled, so I waited for him to leave and I followed him. It was all such a blur that I don't even remember walking to her floor, but I saw exactly what I instinctively thought I would. I hid behind the wall. At this point I was about to throw up, and they were arguing and I couldn't even hear what about, because at that point I showed myself before running back to our flat. Kyle came after me, asking me to wait, to hear him out, but I couldn't even breathe. I felt like I was going to vomit and choke at the same time. My throat was so constricted that I couldn't even talk, and he was rambling on about how it happened 2 months ago and it was a mistake. He never intended on hurting me, and he felt terrible. He said that it didn't mean anything, that Quinn literally meant nothing to him and it was a one-time thing, and he didn't know she was pregnant and he was having a hard time processing that she was even pregnant in the first place. I told him to sleep on the couch, and I practically cried into my pillow all night. It's been 2 days since. I haven't left my bed and I can't eat. It feels like it will just come up, and I haven't been able to speak to him since. He comes to the door and asks me to at least hear him out and give him a chance and that we can work things out. Quinn sent me a message that I haven't read. I've given up my entire life and moved to a foreign country, and my name is on the lease. If I break it, I can't afford to pay the rest off, and I think what's even worse is that I still love him. I hate him and love him at the same time, but I cannot believe he did this to me. Honestly, my life is over and I do not know if I will ever recover from this. This was incredibly long and I apologize for that, but I honestly do not know what to do next. You can definitely leave. You can come back to the UK and leave the whole sorry mess behind you, and leave the ex-boyfriend and the landlady to play happy families together. Can you stay with friends and or parents in the UK until you get yourself back on your feet? Forget the rest of the rent. Realistically, your landlord is going to have very little chance of pursuing you for the rent whilst you're living in the UK. Rent payments are a civil matter rather than criminal, so extradition treaties don't apply here. If you're living in the UK, your landlord would have to bring a case against you in a UK court, and it's highly unlikely that a judge would look favourably on her if she'd slept with your BF, and between them they'd effectively make your stay in that apartment untenable. It would likely be ruled that the contract had been frustrated by other events. Usual disclaimer applies: not a lawyer, if in doubt, consult a proper one, etc. If you are short of money and need to get back home, you may be able to get a temporary loan from the British Consulate in NYC, or from the Embassy in Washington, to cover your flights home. If in doubt, call the embassy. They normally have a specially trained member of staff to deal with situations like this, helping British nationals get home after abusive relationships, etc. Source: have worked in British embassies overseas. This is extremely helpful, thank you so much. Also, you can tell the management company everything, or if Quinn is the landlord, the least thing the bitch could do is remove you from the lease. You can definitely get your name off the lease or have Kyle fully take over. Again, the least thing the asshole can do. I am so sorry you're going through this, one of the most traumatic betrayals. You need support from your friends and family. Call them ASAP and tell them everything. You don't have to deal with it alone. You will get through this. It's not the end of your life. Sometimes the most horrible things turn into the most beautiful blessings. Have faith. You're going to love him for a while, but trust me, your feelings will change. You got this, girl. There is a light at the end of this. Much love. I think your property manager will let you break the lease under the circumstances. I'd contact whatever company the rent money goes to and explain in as much detail as you like, but say you have to break lease because of extenuating circumstances. It'll suck, but you're going to be fine once it's over. Reach out to whoever you can for any support you can muster. Make that jerk pay for a hotel till you leave. Just do whatever you can to take care of you, and get out of there. Also, Kyle can choose to take on the lease only under his name. Changing names on leases in the US is easy provided all the renting parties agree to it. Also, the ability to enforce paying things if you leave the country is spotty at best. You may not be able to return to the US, but if you skipped the bill, the consequences like a bad credit score use a different system in the US and UK. Obviously this would be a last resort if OP cannot get free of things and just needs to leave. More likely, Kyle would still need a place to live and it'd reflect badly on him to have any outstanding charges, so OP could probably leave without anything going on her credit report. That and Kyle taking over the lease means he's gonna get to take care of his brand new affair baby and landlord baby mama. It's gonna be great. He's gonna love it. OP move back home. If you don't have the funds, ask your parents for a loan for the flight and ask to stay with them for a couple of months. If you're from a loving family, they will understand this wasn't your fault. Move home and work on yourself. Save some money so you can rent a place in a couple of months and try to make some friends for support. Also look for hobbies or clubs you can join once home so you're getting out and meeting new people and taking your mind off this situation. In time you will heal and feel normal again. I know it sucks now, but you really missed a bullet by not marrying this idiot or having his kids. There is nothing to know. He banged her because she was there. He's a NYC asset manager. It's hard to believe he's not hiding drug habit, too. It'll all be part of the win-win for that type, but he made a bad trade. It has nothing to do with how he feels about Op. The only question is, did Quinn baby trap him? I think he's nothing but the dumb sperm donor in this saga. Quinn's clock was ticking, and a handsome, aggressive, alpha with a checkbook, was plopped on her doorstep. Befriend the girl, get the sperm. Plan completed. Her betrayal of Op is far more deep than Kyle's. Honestly, the very first thing you need to do is eat. People in extreme emotional distress have appetite loss all the time, and even trouble keeping food down or swallowing it. But grief and despair are almost like running a marathon, you need some fuel for them. Liquid food is sometimes easiest. Order a smoothie from somewhere nearby on your phone. Or get the Soylents delivered same day on Amazon. It's not going to fix this, but you might be surprised how much of your spinning out is actually hunger and dehydration being masked by emotional pain. The thought of eating repulses me, and I can't even bear to accidentally see him in the kitchen. Breathe. It may feel like the world is ending, but you have to deal with this in some way. Just forget everything and breathe. Then, eat something. You're probably not eating enough right now. Try to focus on the food, and forget about the rest of the world. Once your head is a bit clearer, make a plan. You can try to mend this relationship, but I'd say to let it go. Either way, make a plan. Baby steps. Plan where you want to be and go towards that. Call your family, call old friends, get a therapist, speak with someone. It's a lot to unload. And work towards your goal. If you want to go back to London, pack your things. Get a plane ticket. Make him pay for it, it's the least he can do. If you decide to stay, get yourself a hotel or Airbnb, he also pays for that, and carry on with your plans. What happened was unfair to you, and has nothing to do with you or your relationship. Don't try to overanalyze it. You got yourself involved with two people with low morals without knowing, and they acted on their low morals. That's all there is to it. Thank you, I just feel so humiliated. I feel a deep sense of embarrassment telling my family and friends about this, almost a deep shame. We were always seen as the normal couple, and now it just feels like I've been a fool all along, and I don't know how to bring this up to anyone. How were you able to get on a lease with no income and no prior employment history in the US? My guess is your boyfriend co-signed for you, meaning he's liable if you cannot pay. Tell him he's getting the lease put in his name only and he's paying for a ticket for you to get home. You have the power here. Yes, he did co-sign for me. I did not know this. Thank you so much. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night. Wherever you are.